Hey guys, Brooke Bowen here. Today we're going to just talk about if art can be a learned skill. So here we go.
I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive.
So this painting is actually part of a series that I'm calling Women in Nature. I'm really excited about this series. There's a lot going on that I'm doing to add to this series. A lot of really cool people are coming together to help make this series happen. And it just makes me so happy inside that I'm having this opportunity to paint women in nature. And so this is one of my friends who allowed me to use one of her pictures to paint. It's her and her son, and this painting actually took a while, and I messed up on some of it, and I was excited because I was finished and I posted it, and parts of it were just like keep bothering me. It was keep eating at me. Something was bugging me about it. I finally posted it and shared it with some of my art friends privately, and they're like, oh wait 1 second, some of your proportions are off, and all this, this and this and this, all these little details were actually off completely. And then they said it and like totally clicked, and it was like, oh my goodness, there's some major stuff wrong with this painting. It was a sweet feeling, but it didn't have all the technical aspects to it that needed to make it really become a great painting. And so I actually went back and redid the little boy's face, and readjusted his bonnet and her hand and kind of that whole area there in her lap. And now I am really excited about it. I definitely did not want to go back and fix that when it was like, okay, this painting is done, I'm ready to go on to the new one. But my husband's like, if it's bothering you now, it's going to just keep bothering you, and then it's going to find a corner in your studio and you won't show anyone, and it will just die there. And I was like, well, I don't want that to happen to this painting. And so I spent the time to go back and use the skills that I've learned to fix some of the proportional mistakes. I didn't make it perfect, I just fixed it enough because I wanted to make sure it still fit in the right place and still have the same feeling. If I had fixed it completely, I would have had to change some other things that I did not want to change in the painting. Anyway, so today we're talking about, is art a learned skill? And people ask this question a lot. A lot of people come up to me and a lot of other artists and are like, wow, you're so talented. And really it's, I guess talent is their way to say that you're good, right? That's not, but honestly, you don't start out good ever. You don't all of a sudden get talent and then you can paint really well. That's just not the way it works. I know for me, I started liking, deciding I wanted to be an artist in about first grade. And it wasn't because I was per se talented. It was because my first grade teacher noticed me. She noticed that I had skills above my other, peers, but first grade skills are still first grade skills. And it wasn't so much that my drawing skills were up to par. It was that my skills in the fact that I would sit there and I would have way more patience to draw and do all these little details than my peers did. And she recognized, she was an artist herself on the side, and she recognized that I had this desire to draw and be creative. And she told my mom, you should put her in art lessons, essentially. And there have been so many times over my life, I never gave up on that goal. I always wanted to be an artist since I was in first grade. But there were times where I would feel like, okay, I'm doing really good, you know, my artwork's doing good, and then I try something new and I'm like, oh my goodness, this really stinks, or you know, this doesn't look good at all. Or I'd look at some of my older pieces, or I'd finish something that I was really proud of, and then I'd look at it and be like, what was I thinking? You know, and this was through my entire life, like all through elementary school and middle school and high school even. I remember there being a time in elementary school where I decided I wanted to draw a landscape. And I was like, I just want to draw it out of my head. And so I did this landscape out of my head, and I'm like, this doesn't look good at all. I know I could do better than this. Why doesn't it look good? And there were other times where I remember I was 16 and I went and I painted with a bunch of other artists, and it was just like one of those moments. I'm sure everyone has had one of those moments where it's just like, what am I doing here? I do not belong here. I was surrounded by literally professional artists, and I was a 16-year-old just learning, and I felt so inadequate because my skills weren't up to par. Now, this isn't meaning to say, you know, oh, people with talent have bad days too. This is really meaning to say that people who are artists and who have really highly specialized skills are people who have developed them over and over and over and over again. You know, when people, you know, when there's like a famous basketball player, you know, we don't talk about, you know, well, people talk about them having talent, but really it was because they were able to build those skills over years and years of practice. You know, it's not like they go home and they hang out all day. No, they're practicing playing basketball or practicing playing soccer. And even those people that their skills aren't so spread out to the world, like you know, even within companies and things like that, there's people who are exceptionally great at what they do. You know, you look at people who have built companies from scratch, and then they build another company from scratch and another company from scratch, and everyone's like, well, I want to know the secret. Well, part of the secret is that they have built skills over and over again, that they have those skills to build a successful company. So I was just discussing this with my son's first grade class just the other day, and it was fascinating because you know, one of the adults who was there in the classroom was like, so how did you know that you wanted to be an artist? You know, how did you realize you had this talent? And I turned to the class and I said, how many of you guys are artists? And every single one of them shot their hand high in the air, because every single one of them was an artist. Every single one of them loved making art. Every single one. And I told them, when I was in first grade, I loved to make art too. And that is when I decided I wanted to be an artist. And the teacher then asked, well, did you have to, you know, learn certain skills or things like that to make you so you became an artist? And I was like, well, the biggest skill that I had to have that made me an artist wasn't talent or this idea that I was better than anybody else. All it was that I loved art enough that I kept going. And I kept going, that when I hit those difficult points where I'm like, oh, this is ugly, and I did not feel good about myself or feel good about my art, I just continue to go. And that is what makes me an artist. There is no talent there. It's just perseverance and practice. perseverance and practice is what you need to be an artist. So I would like to leave that with you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this oil painting. It just makes me so happy inside. And I am so excited to be able to be here and share this with you. So if you like this video and you want to see more, leave me a comment first of all and tell me what you want to see on my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.